Health Siren presents How to Stay Healthy and Free from Disease. Anand Bapat, an authority in traditional acupuncture, occupational therapy, and a leader in Shivambu, Surya Namaskar knowledge, has gained expertise in the study of exercise, its effects on body, and recovery from disease towards normal health. He is today the founder of a concept of how to stay healthy and free from disease. He has a website addressing this philosophy titled www.freefromdisease.in. Today, he will be presenting the part of series of talk on health, healthy living, and how to manage the body towards that end. This talk is about our body, immunity, its benefits, and understanding our bodies better.
Earlier on, we spoke about oral digestion, and we talked about the physical and chemical changes that happen in the mouth, which is part of the digestive process. Now we are going to continue that process and to understand digestion all the way up to the small intestine. We are also going to talk about fasting and its benefits. And then we are also going to talk about the time period between meals. So let us see what we can uncover here and learn. Again, I'll take you back to the production line in terms of food packaging, what happens in an apple factory. We sort them out in terms of quality, then we wash them, clean them, check them that they are okay, then the peeling happens, check that they are all right, then the slicing happens. This is roughly the stuff that happens in the mouth. Then we go to the curing part, which is either cooking or steaming it at a particular set temperature for a set time, and then packing it, adding preservative to it, and sealing it. This is what we are going to see further on now in our own system. Similarly, when we are talking about the production line at home, cooking a dish, we were talking about puran puri. Earlier on, we only talked about making the filling and making the dough and making a soft dough so that we can stuff the filling into a ball of dough and roll it and enclose it, and it's soft enough that it can be rolled out into a puri. Now the real skill part is rolling it into a puri and then putting it on the fry pan to bake it perfectly without breaking into pieces. And for that you need that soft texture of the dough and lot of skill related to rolling it out in a perfect manner, of course in a good round shape as well. Similarly, we talked about planning a party or a marriage, and we talked about setting the date, finding the hall, putting the invitations together. Now we are going about inviting people, getting the menu sorted out, getting the venue decorated, making sure the seating arrangements are done, making sure the drinks and the guests and the family members and their attire and everything is well sorted out. So everything happens in a sequence. You do not go out and get dressed, go to a party and then say, oh, let's now organize a marriage. Okay? So it has to have a sequence. So production line at home is that. In the previous video, we talked about chewing at least 40 times per mouthful. Just to recap, make the food into a fine paste mixed with saliva. Swallowing should be natural, not shoveled into your throat. Taste of food, if possible, should be neutral before you end up swallowing. Always chew your drink and drink your food. Now I have recapped this specifically because I give this part, the digestive system, great emphasis because this is responsible for the whole production line of food being converted into blood and the energy to be one of the most important features of our life. So now when we look at the food system, here the food system we started looking at chewing and swallowing, and now we move on further to stomach digestion, which has its own unique features, and we'll talk about that. Then we go down to the duodenum and there's the biliary digestion. Then we go on to the small intestine where the absorption happens. And we are going to stop at the small intestine level on this occasion. So we'll move on again. So what are the features of digestion that happen? We looked at the mouth digestion, where we have a mild acid or a mild alkali being used to treat the food in the mouth, mix with it, and then send it down to the stomach. It is only when that is complete that the food moves down to the stomach. Or it is only when it's complete that the food should move down into the stomach. We do not give it time when we are gulping our food down. Now what happens in the stomach? In the upper stomach, there is what I refer to as an acid wash, which is reasonably mild acid. And as it goes further down into the stomach, it gets treated with strong acid. Now all this acid-alkali reaction is basically there to work on the different ingredients of food, break them down chemically, get them into different sets of unique nutrients, amino acids, etc., to make it absorbable further down. As the food goes down from the stomach down to the duodenum, generally we recommend that when the food is in the stomach for about an hour, you should have a drink of water to make sure that the contents of the stomach now become a little bit more liquidy, so that they can flow through the small tube into the duodenum much more easily. Now, funnily enough, the duodenum has got an alkaline, mild alkali wash. So from the acid wash in the stomach, the food gets treated with an alkali wash again in the duodenum. From there, it moves on to the small intestine, where there is a mild to moderate acid wash again. Now, what happens in the small intestine as we know it? In the small intestine, the food is broken down into its elements, and it is these elements that are transmitted into the body. So let us look at it in a flow chart again, and I know I'm being repetitive, but there's a reason for it. So food goes into the mouth, it has a bit of oral digestion after physically being masticated. Remember, there are no teeth once past the mouth, so the rest of it is all a chemical journey. Goes to the stomach, upper and lower, where there is a bit of a mild acid and strong acid wash. Then it goes down to the duodenum, where there is a alkali wash. From there, it goes to the small intestine, where there is breakdown into useful and waste matter with a moderate acid wash. This separation starts here. So the separation of food into useful and waste matter starts here. The useful matter is collected by the small intestine. Now this collection does not happen as food. This collection happens more as nutrients. So it might be amino acids, it might be elements like sodium, potassium, etc. And those are absorbed by the small intestine, goes into the blood. From there it goes to the large intestine, but we'll talk about that next time. So, now what is digestion all about? Digestion is about breaking down the food into the various elements. Remember, every bit of food we eat, I might have a pizza, I might have a burger, I might have a chicken tandoori, I might have a meatloaf, or I might have ice cream. I'm sure every one of us know that this food never ends up in the blood as is. So to get it into the blood, it has to end up as elements or nutrients that are made available in the small intestine as part of the breakdown of all this food and then supplied to the blood. The maximal availability of nutrients. To get the maximum nutrients out of your food, what do you need to do? This is based on the quality of food you eat. So if you eat junk food, it's going to be lousy because it has less value. If you eat useful food, if you eat fresh food, the quality is going to change. You're going to get more nutrients. If the food is prepared well, some foods eaten raw have got fabulous nutrients. Some foods cooked properly have got reasonable nutrients. Overcooked food tends to have very little nutrients left. If there's a good production line in the gut, now I've been talking about production line and I've been talking about steps from mouth digestion to stomach digestion to duodenal digestion to small intestine. If all this production line of digestion in the gut is followed at every stage of digestion in a systematic manner, then the maximum nutrients are made available out of the food you eat. Digestion is also dependent on the healthy juices in the gut at every stage. So if there is a strong acid or alkali as required, if you can deliver a strong acid and alkali, then the effect is going to be better. If you fail to deliver the strong acid because of health reasons or inability to do so, then the same digestion is going to be of a poorer quality. What are the good habits of eating meals? Let us look at some of that. Spaced meals. Meals should not be too frequent. No water dilution. You should not dilute your food with water. Drink of water before meals, drink of water during meals. Why? Because when you drink water close to a meal, you dilute the acid that is forming in the stomach, which is saying, hey, I'm hungry, I'm ready to receive good food for digestion. Send it to me. If we send water down, then that acid tends to get dilute. And every student of chemistry at school knows that if you have a weak acid, the effectiveness in digestion is going to be poorer. If you have a strong acid, the efficacy of digestion is going to be better. Good chewing and swallowing. This is imperative because if you chew well and if you swallow properly, the production line of eating, production line of the digestive system is well adhered to. You make sure that the first stage of chewing and digestion is complete before you pass it on to the next stage. You don't just gulp it and forget the first stage and then the rest of the body has to cope with the mess. Another good tip is eating only 2/3 of your appetite. There are two reasons for this. One, 2/3 of your appetite, if you eat a little bit less, it's always good for you. But the other bigger reason is, generally it takes you about 20 minutes to half an hour for the body to realize how much food it has and send a signal. If we eat 2/3 of our appetite, we feel we are still hungry, but in about half an hour you'll get a report to say you're satiated and content. If you tend to stuff your face and eat to your full capacity, you feel generally good straight after a meal. After about half an hour, you feel like, oh, I think I've overeaten again, I've done it, it's too much, etc. Resting after a meal is handy, partly because if you go and do any hectic activity straight after a meal, it is the stomach area that requires the body energy to be focused on to help digest better. If you go out on a run or if you do physical exercise or hard yaka, which is going to detract from that energy towards your stomach, then your digestive quality may be influenced negatively. Eating a whole variety of foods in color, in taste, in texture, veg, fruits, vegetables, lentils, etc. is good for you. Now we turn our head towards fasting and benefits. It is interesting to know all religions and ancient practices advise fasting periodically. Some of them may be seasonal, some of them are cyclic with phases of the moon or an yearly process. You find Jains and Buddhists fasting, Hindus and Sikhs fasting on certain days, Muslims fast for Ramzan, Jews fast on Yom Kippur, while Christians practice Lent and give up some foods and fast. What are the benefits of fasting? Fasting gives the gut a well-deserved rest. Fasting helps cleanse the gut internally. Fasting is generally practiced for gaining better health. Recently, Dr. Osumi won the Nobel Prize for autophagy in 2016. His work has shown that fasting creates a milieu or an environment for healing and can reverse health conditions. Dr. Oshumi, in 2016, Nobel Prize for Autophagy was won by Dr. Oshumi, a cell biologist. He demonstrated how cells recycle and renew their content, a process called autophagy. Fasting activates autophagy, which helps slow down the aging process and has a positive impact on cell renewal. So what is autophagy? During starvation, cells break down proteins and other cell components and use them for energy. During autophagy, cells destroy viruses and bacteria and get rid of damaged structures. It's a process that is critical for good cell health, renewal, and survival. Fasting activates autophagy. Dr. Oshumi's quote, "As research into autophagy has expanded, it has become clear that it is not simply a response to starvation. It contributes to a range of physiological functions such as inhibiting cancer cells and aging, eliminating pathogens, and cleaning the insides of cells." Today, since the Nobel Prize being won for autophagy, there has been an explosion in the research in autophagy and more work is coming out. Now we talked about the time period between meals. For every machine, whatever machine of any nature, we need maintenance break for optimum performance. Similarly, the gut requires breaks of about 4 to 6 hours between meals to ensure optimum functioning. This means food of any sort, a small snack or a big meal, the gut responds the same way. Ideally, we should have no more than 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch and dinner, spaced apart. Example, breakfast by 9 a.m., lunch by 2 p.m. and dinner around 7 p.m. Dr. Jagannath Dikshit, a great advocate of 2 meals a day, advises only 2 meals per day. So what is the take-home message? Importance of digestion. Let us start from the top. Chew at least 40 times each mouthful. Swallowing should be natural, not shoveled into your throat. Proper digestion in the stomach. Do not dilute stomach acid with water before or during meals. Drink water about 30 to 60 minutes after meals. Fasting for rest to the stomach and the whole gut. Fasting activates autophagy action. This can benefit the body healing and cleaning mechanism. Dr. Jagannath Dikshit's 2-meal policy automatically provides for a good stomach rest and a minimal fast of 12 hours every day. So now we come to again knowing, doing and being. We have just learned the whole process of digestion up to absorption in the small intestine and how a lot of conditions will favor better digestion. Since we know this, and there are a lot of simple things that we can do from our day-to-day life as part of our eating processes, chewing well, not drinking water with meals, having a break of at least 6 hours between meals, resting after a meal, etc. We know what to do. But doing it only for a day is not enough. Remember, our body is a machine and it needs maintenance every day. So you need to do this every day for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Once you have done it long enough, it becomes a habit that you don't need to think of doing, you just happen to start doing it, and that is when it becomes being. And I would like all of you to start being about your digestive system so that your digestion will be complete, wholesome, possibly eat less, lose weight, become healthy and strong, and get closer to becoming freer from disease. I'll just finish with telling you a bit about me. My name is Anand Bapat. I'm based in Pune, India. I run the Bharatiya Acupuncture Bhavan, where we use natural therapies also to heal people. We offer teaching of Surya Namaskar under the banner of Scientific Surya Namaskar Academy. It takes us 8 hours to teach Surya Namaskar to a person, and we have 70 plus levels of difficulty within that same Surya Namaskar concept. We are attempting to create scientific naturopathy, bringing science to naturopathic procedures. I'm a leading expert in the world on Shivambu, and I would like to propagate Shivambu as much as I can for the benefit of people. I offer a free internet clinic for health where people can contact me on my email and I manage. And presently we are offering this free from disease concept of health on YouTube videos. We also offer a face-to-face lecture for large groups and corporates where we have a 4-hour lecture on freedom from disease, and we propagate the same message face-to-face. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thank you, Anand Bapat, for your valuable information on health. This series is a 15 to 22 part series on developing oneself into a healthy person. This series will educate, guide, and provide support through our online educational and support services to enhance your health. All queries are welcome on the following email.
Download app Health Siren for all health solutions at your doorstep.